Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran. We are going to talk about, believe it or not, Kickstarter. Let's get into the Kickstarter stuff. And honestly, this kind of went up under the radar for me, and then Yanzi pointed it out. So Kickstarter is under strike right now. And this is not getting around as much as you would think, and they're still on strike. Now, we're going to get into it. Before we do, guys, look down below, hit a like, subscribe, ring the bell for notification, all that stuff as we do talk about the comics. And first off, if you don't know what Kickstarter is, it's a crowdfunding platform. Most everybody knows what it is. It's notorious in some parts, especially the Comicsgate part, for gatekeeping your boy Zach off of it. John Malin, Jawbreakers, then became a Antarctic thing where like there was a big lawsuit with Mark Wade. So there's a lot of things there, but there was also Camilla Zong, who I had met at DC Comics. She was a person, is a person. She went to work for Kickstarter, and I had heard her at a I don't know if it was like one of these comic book legal defense fund parties one time. I overheard her say to somebody that part of her job was gatekeeping at Kickstarter. Keeping the bad apples out is the term she used. Now, today, that's not really an issue, even though a lot of people say like Kickstarter does discriminate. There is evidence out there that there's some things that they don't want on their site, or they're just not going to give you that badge, projects we love, all of that stuff. But today, Kickstarter, first off, they've had a great year. Okay, they're actually up this year, I think, from last year. And they've had some really phenomenal campaigns, Skybound especially. And I want to talk a little bit about that this seems to be happening at the same time as the Diamond bankruptcy. And a lot of people are scrambling around. I'm seeing multi-million-dollar campaigns with like the Transformer Omnibus, the G.I. Joe Omnibus. I think there's a Danger Girl Artist Edition right now that's up and funding through Skybound on Kickstarter. A lot of publishers making a lot of moves. But see, this isn't just publishers. A lot of this is tabletop gaming, right? Which, again, lines up with Diamond. Diamond was doing a lot of that. And I think this strike works at the right time, at the right place for the employees of Kickstarter, because there's a lot of people trying to open up Kickstarter accounts and get mega campaigns going because the direct market is gone. Now, that could be a coincidence, but I want to talk about what they actually want. And there's a longer article that kind of talks about it. To sum it up, they basically want 4-day work weeks. Okay, and they want to make a minimum of $85,000 a year to work 4 days a week. Now, for everybody who's heard that, yes, they only want to work 4 days a week. They want to be paid at least $85,000 a year. They want those 3-day weekends every weekend. Okay, so that sounds crazy, right? Sounds crazy. These aren't creators. These are just people that are behind the scenes. They don't even really maybe help you with your campaign. They don't promote it really. It's up to you. So they're just keeping the machine, which is Kickstarter, working. So what are my thoughts about that? Well, technically, I guess all these people that work at Kickstarter work in New York, and $85,000 a year isn't a lot of money. It's minimum wage type money if you're living in New York City. But then that brings up the question, why is everybody living in New York City that work at Kickstarter? That part I don't understand. You know, especially after COVID and everything, pretty much everybody's been working from home. So I don't really understand that. Now, in this article, there's a little bit of a back and forth on, well, we started working 4 days a week, and then the company said, okay, keep working the output you do in 4 days a week, but be prepared to work that 5th day. And that seems to be the big problem here, that Kickstarter is saying, well, we can't say we'll always be 4 days a week, because depending on what's happening on our site, you may need to be there that 5th day. To sum that up for normies, they don't have any real control over the flood of campaigns that may be coming in, or especially if there's a huge campaign that's, you know, raising like, I don't know, $4 million or something stupid like that. I mean, they want to go grab these projects if they're available, but they can't manufacture the product. I mean, they're just literally the host. The part that's weird about this, and I gotta point out, and it's kind of ironic, Kickstarter United has raised $21,000, 500 towards solidarity funds for the employees. So even as the employees are on strike, and they're telling you not to boycott Kickstarter, by the way, at the same time, they're raising money. $32,000 they've raised by not going to work. This is an interesting situation, guys. These guys are probably, I mean, they're, this is for everybody. It's not going to cut up the same, but I mean, they're making money by just boycotting. I mean, these are interesting times we live in. I'm just saying that you can go on strike and still raise money with GoFundMe at the same time, and they're using support Kickstarter United workers. I'm a little bit concerned this could turn into a PR nightmare. I'm also concerned if there's not other things that aren't public facing about what their demands were. In the past, they wanted more control themselves to be able to decide whose project gets moved along. There's a lot of moving parts out there too. Indiegogo got bought. Now they're merging, I think, no new campaigns from, I think, the 9th to the 16th on the Indiegogo, and the site's going to reboot. Again, they were bought by a game site. So a lot of people see money in crowdfunding, and crowdfunding years ago, guys, used to be kind of like a no-no in comics. But now it just seems where a lot of people are going to get a pre-order idea. And it's weird because you're seeing this model being used on Mattel. You're seeing it used on Hasbro Pulse and things like that. The crowdfunding model is starting to become the new pre-order. And especially with the collapse of Diamond, which is really messy, where some people weren't even getting their money, they weren't getting their stock, and the stock that Diamond was in the warehouse when it got sold to a new owner is actually getting liquidated. So nobody's really wanting to open up comic shops right now. And I know Kickstarter does more than that, but right now, if you're watching this video, chances are you're into comics. I mean, there's comic stores closing down after 38 years of business, and they can't get anybody to buy their shop because it's the worst time in the world to become a comic book shop owner. I was reading this story here of this gentleman. He's like, I'm just going to retire. I can't sell these books. They're too expensive. They're not good. He'd been doing it for 40 years. And, I think at the beginning of the story in his town, his area, there were 16 shops. Now there's 4. I mean, there's a decline of brick and mortar shops that will hold geek things. And these changing platforms are going to be the new destination, I think, I hope, for these products, whether it be tabletop gaming or it be comics, because it sure shit ain't going to be comic shops, because there's a whole generation of people aging out of their shop that are retiring and nobody's buying the shop. Like, there's no young whippersnapper coming in to buy this shop and its clientele. So the guy's just got to shut it down, And I can't blame them. I can't blame the young comic geek not wanting to buy a shop. Right now, the American comic book industry is like a coin toss. There's a million distributors. People were never prepared for the Diamond thing at all. Maybe DC and Marvel to some extent because they left years ago. But they still were ill prepared because they still let Diamond order from them and rack up a bill, even though they had left. So they still got burned. They just got burned less than everybody else. And the quality of comics, it just ain't happening at Marvel and DC. I mean, you're seeing better things happening at Image and Ghost Machine and things like that. Rob Liefeld with Youngblood now coming back again, creator-owned books. We crowdfund ourselves. We do it on our site, 9 Lives Comics. If you guys will, please go over here, check out our new campaign, Annatomic, Welcome to the Arena comic. Less than, what do we need? We need less than $400, and every book backer gets a free ash can that comes with your book of Anatomic's origin story. This is a prequel to Inglorious Rex, which you can buy on our shop, and it ships out next day. I want to thank you guys for the support, and I'll leave you guys with a trailer for this awesome comic.
If fighting was a god, I would worship him. I would bow to him. I would pray for victory. for he only grants opportunities. But behind every god lurks a devil. And the devil wants me to take a dive. My name is Annatomic. And this is how my legend was made.